All right, so this is our semester project part 3 where we analyzed what we did, and let's go ahead and get started. This is the scenario that we've had in all of our presentations thus far. It's of a second grade teacher in an urban community, Muslim child, Robbie, who didn't seem to have any friends, was getting bullied by two students, Chris and Drew. They were telling him to go back where you came from, you're not smart, and we don't want your help. The teacher was overcome, and she decided that she was going to do something about it. So, in brief, this is our solution. Our group chose in part 2 to address the situation by speaking with each student involved, moving Robbie to a better group, letting Chris and Drew know the direct consequence for further disruptions, which is that they would be separated in future group assignments, which both of them agreed they would not appreciate. The next one is that we contacted the parents of all the students involved. We also worked to prevent future instances of bullying in the classroom by teaching a lesson that taught students key phrases they could use to counteract bullying. We wanted not only to include the students and the parents that were involved, but we also wanted to educate the entire class on how to combat bullying, which is unacceptable behavior. From the class readings, this was what fueled our original idea of teaching that lesson. It says what worked, it turns out, was not reading about people who defy gender stereotypes, or in this case, in our case, who defy bullying, not reading about people who defy bullying. What affected students' attitudes and behaviors was learning and practicing what to say when gender bullying occurs, or in our case, just bullying. And in the lesson, they actually would be practicing things to say when they see bullying occurring. From the church leader references, a quote from Rebecca M. Taylor on how to beat bullying was, "What can you do to help out? Say something, tell an adult if it persists, and reach out." There's more to come on this quote later in the presentation. From President Uchtdorf on the merciful obtain mercy, this topic of judging others could actually be taught in a 2-word sermon. When it comes to hating, gossiping, ignoring, ridiculing, holding grudges, or wanting to cause harm, please apply the following: stop it. So in other words, as teachers, we have the responsibility to stop the behavior. The 2-word sermon. From the scholarly references, this is another part. So this first quote is actually related to this first quote back here on the church leader references. It says, "Perhaps the greatest potential for stemming the tide of global plague known as bullying lies in the actions of teachers. In order to respond, however, teachers urgently need help in recognizing bullying behaviors, understanding its causes, and taking deliberate steps to confront bullying and violence in our classrooms. First, we need to know that that's what's going on is bullying, and we need to be able to identify it and respond." Now for the second quote, "Adults can diffuse bullying behavior and help a child who is a bully. We believe that children who are bullies have either grown up being bullied at some point in their life or are in need of some type of caring. This means that the child is not the bad guy. You, as the teacher, need to take steps that help all parties become better students and better citizens." Now for the third quote, "Everyone in the school, adults and students, needs to work together to establish the school and the surrounding area as a bully-proof safety zone with zero tolerance for bullying of any kind, and publish it as such. Many schools have no bullying policies, and students need to know that. It needs to be explicitly taught in the situations and otherwise." Now, coming from the readings, we talked about some alternate solutions. Now, these ones on the left are not so great solutions. These are the ones that typically happen in a common classroom. First, immediate office referral. The pro for this one is that the teacher gets a break. The teacher doesn't have to deal with the situation. The con is that the students learn they can get out of class by acting out. They go to the principal's office, and it's a lot cooler to them to be there at the principal's office because there's a lot more going on than there is in class. Second is to make the bullies apologize. Now we all know that this produces immediate results and it produces the end of conflict, but we all also know that the root of the problem is not addressed by this, and further instances are expected. Now, on the right-hand side, we have better solutions and things we could have added to what we decided to do. One is to refer to classroom and school rules on bullying during one-on-one discussion of the situation with the students. The pro behind this is this sends a clear message and a clear expectation and reinforces the teacher's commitment to the school's policy. The only thing that is wrong with it is that it takes just a bit more time of the teacher. I'm sure the teacher could take a little bit of time now to reduce further disruptions. Now, the second one is peer mediation, having both parties face each other. The pro behind this is that students learn how to solve their own problems and work out their differences. The con behind this is when handled poorly, this does nothing to help the root of the problem and the behavior persists. So analysis, what we did right, we addressed the problem directly to the students. We kept open communication between parents and teachers. We had the teacher instruct students on how to combat bullying behavior in the classroom. What we could have done is, since the teacher was part of a school, the school has specific rules for bullying. The teacher should have referred to those rules specifically when talking to the students causing the problem. We also could have invited a guest speaker to talk on bullying. And third, after having the teacher discuss the arrangements to the individual students, in this case, that Robbie was moved to another group and that Chris and Drew, if further disruptions persist, would be separated and forced to work alone in the future. After those arrangements are made, have the students talk to each other. Now, the teacher has to be careful when employing this tactic. When it works, it is effective and both parties benefit. However, when it does not work, it drives a further animosity between the two groups of students. This is why, even though this is very employed in common classrooms, it may or may not be the best tactic to use. We believe in the first two for sure. And that is our presentation. That is our analysis of our semester group project and the solution that we have presented. Thank you.